So let's just say time travel is possible for now. And so what actually happens? So let's imagine this is you, and this is your timeline going along, and then suddenly today you go back in time. So yes, the Back to the Future theory is actually correct, regardless of what anyone else says. And according to whistleblowers, this is how it actually works. However, there are some discrepancies. But what actually happens is you would go back in time, but you wouldn't now be on this timeline. You will start a different timeline, and then that timeline goes along there. Now this timeline from here actually carries on, but it now carries on without you, because you've just gone back in time and ended up on a different timeline. So there's multiple timelines. So this one is carrying on, but it's now missing you. And the reason why I say there's different caveats, I'll explain in the next video. Project Pegasus was a government's attempt at teleportation and time travel, and this happened 50s, 60s, I believe, onwards. And if you look at the time travel thing that I done here, so they're saying that what happens is when you transport back, you end up there. But if you teleport back again, you will end up, so even though you started a new timeline, you can go from there back to where you was, so all these people knew who you was, etc., instead of starting a whole new timeline. Now I can't be 100% sure on that, but that's the way it seems to work. So if you just basically live your life, you will start a whole new one. But if you transport back using time travel, then you jump back onto that timeline, same as you jump off of that timeline by going there. So Project Pegasus was designed to time travel. Now, apparently they had problems with adults going through, so they started to use children, whereas the adults would you come back or not come back at all and die. So they started to use children, apparently, but they didn't send adults through with them, which I find strange, because if the kids died, then they wouldn't get any data on what actually happened. You know, did the kid go back in time and get run over? So I struggle with that part of it. But anyway, one such kid was a guy called Andrew Basargo, who says he was his dad was part of the program, and he at one point, he went through many times, or a few times, but at one point his dad allowed him to go through on his own, unsupervised, without anyone else knowing. He opened up this time machine, and the kid went back and apparently ended up in Gettysburg when Lincoln was given his address. And that as mentioned before, Andrew D. Basargo says he went back in time. My problem with that is I wouldn't let my kids walk down the local shops. So to let my kid go back, use a time machine that could possibly kill him, go to an era where there's civil unrest, or you know, people could quite easily kill a kid or kidnap a kid, you know, the time of the Gettysburg Address. So this is him talking now. So that's my problem. I just wouldn't let my kid go out of sight, let alone go back in time. I just find that really hard to believe that his dad did that, and then hope that his kid would come back. But here's a bit of him talking.
The teleportation project wasn't at LANL, the Los Alamos National Labs. It was at Sandia. And in fact, I knew that was valid information because the teleport that we were being taken to Quantum Leap back to the tarmac at Curtis Wright in New Jersey.
If true, then Andrew Basargo went back in time and was snapped by a photographer who ended up putting this in the newspaper, and he ended up saying one day that that was him. Now, he's not the only person that we can see back in time. Now, there's this guy here, very compelling, old picture. Apparently, it is correctly dated. You know, he's not been photoshopped, so it's an old picture that they found the original of. And he's got a screen printed t-shirt which didn't come into existence for another 20 odd years before, I think about 20 years after this picture would have been taken. Obviously he's wearing some sort of modern high-tech sunglasses and this haircut and a sort of a jacket thing. So whether or not he is a time traveller, you would think that if they are time travellers they would try and blend in, but maybe they don't. So I don't know on this one. Like, the jury's out. Let me know your thoughts.